This upcoming weather has the potential to produce a ton of snow with two winter storms, and the first one is ongoing right now, including thunder snow happening within the Kansas City area, and that continues to come down at a big clip with very heavy snow and unfortunately ice, and even some ice storm warnings within as they move across Missouri back into the Ohio Valley. This eventually ends up into West Virginia and all the way into the coast, into Delaware, as well as into New Jersey. There's other lightning strikes further south within the warm sector because we do have that first Arctic front that is plunging southbound, tapping into that warmer air. It's producing some showers and thunderstorms, and I'm expecting the radar to kind of light up as we get deeper into the afternoon. Unfortunately, we do have more severe storms that will likely break out within the southeast region. So right now, we've got blizzard storm warnings in effect within the Kansas City region. Actually, the first one since 2018, and they are getting some thunder snow with 1 to 2 inch per hour snowfall rates, and it's really coming down at a pretty good clip. So they've got blizzard warnings happening in Kansas, winter storm warnings all the way through Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, back into Kentucky, does include portions of Ohio, as well as into West Virginia, and all the way into the coast, including portions of Delaware and even areas in New Jersey. And then further south, there's your wind advisory as the winds are cranking behind that Arctic front, 40, 50 miles an hour. And there you can definitely see that Arctic front sinking all the way down to the deep south, with freeze warnings happening as far south as within the Galveston region. So if you are new to the channel and like detailed weather breakdowns, hit the subscribe button and you're in. You get all my daily content on this channel to keep you well ahead of the storm. So for today, further south within the warm sector, they do in fact have that upgraded enhanced risk for areas of all three modes of severe storms. And unfortunately, that does include tornadoes, and some of those could be on the strong variety. That's the EF2 or greater type as you get into far northeastern portions of Louisiana, especially there into western areas of Mississippi. That is your bullseye area. Unfortunately, this area got hit hard just about a week or so ago. Another similar type setup is likely going to unfold, not as deep as a tornado outbreak or a severe weather outbreak, but we are expecting some tornadoes within this area, especially as we get deeper into the afternoon time frame, going into that early evening. Very high winds, a lot of heavy rainfall, and a lot of lightning, with some larger hail within that area. So further, this is your overall surface map right now. So we've got the green. You can see the graph on the right hand corner of the screen. And then you have the pink, that is your ice pellets. That's as rain continues to fall in that shallow Arctic air. You got the warm air coming from the south. That's where it freezes on contact, and that's where we're seeing some treacherous travel for a good part of Kansas back into Missouri. That will just only get worse as we get deeper into the day into Illinois, back into Kentucky. We've got snow with the heavy snow. The darker blues indicate the heavier snows just to the north. So they are getting some of those 1 to 2 inch per hour snowfall rates for the next 48 hours. Here's where likely the precipitation will fall, and the darker the reds, the more intense the heavier rains would likely be. And that's why we do have that severe weather in place for those areas into southeast Texas, far east Texas, into Louisiana, portions of Arkansas, getting into Mississippi. And then of course, as you go further north, that's all going to be a mixed bag of freezing rain, and then of course all snow on the northern interior that will drape across Ohio into portions of Pennsylvania, eventually end up into Virginia, and even all into the East Coast, as far east as into New Jersey. So let's break down some of the snowfall totals from the latest high resolution guidance. Now of course, some of these areas have already seen snow, and it started actually ended up areas into yesterday, but those areas you see in green there, that includes some 8 to 12 inch totals, and there's not even rolled out of some isolated areas could even pick up as much as 18 inches in some of these green shaded areas. Once you get into the pink shaded areas, you're likely going to be getting 4 to 8 inches of snow. And then once you get into the blue areas, that's more like 4 inches, and the lighter blue is more like in the 2-inch variety. So you can kind of see as this snowstorm will evolve between now and getting into Monday. Yeah, it's going to go as far north. Cincinnati's expecting almost a foot of snow. New York, Ohio is going to get almost 7 inches of snow. So, I mean, we are expecting a pretty significant snowfall from this system as it continues with just devastating ice and heavy snows that include all the way into Baltimore, DC, Philadelphia. You're going to get into the action with a lot of this snow. And unfortunately, just within that, we are going to be getting some ice. That freezing rain will freeze on contact, so it's going to be just a dangerous commute, next to impossible in a lot of areas within this corridor where you see that pink shaded area. And some of this could be devastating ice, if not areas that's even some crippling ice once it gets over that 1/2 inch variety, so even maxing out at possibly 3/4 of an inch. So we are expecting some dangerous ice, unfortunately, as you move along, getting into today. I think today is going to be the peak of it, and then it's going to be moving across West Virginia, eventually heading into Virginia tomorrow, and this will eventually head off the East Coast, and then that's when we'll be setting up our second storm. All right, so we've been talking about this polar vortex coming down, this Arctic blast that's coming down, and it's really starting to take shape going into that second week of January, which we'll be talking about for a while on this channel. Now the colder air is going to be trapped. So you've got warmer air really building back over Alaska. You've got warmer air building further north. This traps the cold underneath. So this locks in the cold for an extended period of time, pretty much the entire week that's coming up. Next week, you are going to be locked into a much colder weather pattern, heading into that second week of January is what we've been talking about, on this channel. And this likely sets up our next significant winter storm that likely is unfold. So you're going to lay down a pretty good snow swath across the plains, and you can definitely see it as far as these average temperature anomalies. Once you hit Wednesday afternoon of 26 below average there in Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, that they're seeing the snowpack. So it obviously adds about a 10-degree drop in temperatures if they didn't see the snowpack, but it also lays the groundwork for the secondary system, because that Arctic air has to continue to plunge southbound from the north, and it's going to go over this renewed snowpack. That's going to make this system that's likely coming into Texas on Thursday colder than what would likely be if they did not get this snowpack. So, and with it likely be with just all rain in a lot of these areas, but we are expecting with that colder anomalies coming southbound, this atmosphere is going to be cold enough to see ice and snow once it comes across. So we're going to be seeing a developing disturbance that's going to get its act together on Wednesday night down there into Mexico. That's going to send short waves out ahead of it. So it's going to be very dry at the mid latitudes, about 10,000 feet. Precipitation tries to fall. This is Wednesday night. Not much of that is going to be able to reach the ground, right? But as that disturbance continues to lift into far west Texas, and especially going over into central and north Texas during the morning hours on Thursday, we're likely going to be seeing that transitional aspect of some of that rain freezing on contact as that shallow air really condenses down and kind of settles down to the surface. So that's when I'm expecting some ice starting to accumulate on a lot of the surfaces out here in West Texas, portions of Central Texas, and North Texas. And just to the north of there, you're likely going to get the snow. So as we get into the afternoon, into the early evening time frame, we'll see all snow likely going into North Texas, areas into the Panhandle, areas into Oklahoma. Further south, we'll see that mixed bag of sleet and freezing rain. And it's likely for South Texas, it will just be an all cold rain event as this continues to produce some heavier rain, heavier snows within that corridor. So look at the darker blues continuing to unfold across northeast Texas, getting into, out of North Texas, southeastern Oklahoma, and that mixed precipitation of that just slushy, sleet, icy mix setting up for East Texas by the time we head into Friday morning, and now enters into Arkansas with rain further south into Louisiana, and that just continues to lift into the Tennessee Valley. We've got Arkansas likely covered by Friday night with snow, getting into northern portions of Mississippi by then, northern areas of Alabama, Georgia, then all snow likely in Tennessee and Kentucky. And that would likely can just continue combining with more snow going to be laying down the groundwork, lighter amounts, going into New Jersey, back into Philly again. But look at the probabilities of getting at least 1 inch of snow even further south. So with that second system, right? So this is the probability on the EPS. This is the ensembles for the European guidance saying, hey, there's a good possibility. In fact, almost an 80% probability now that West and North Texas is going to be seeing at least 1 inch of snow coming with this secondary system. It's likely going to be a lot more than that. But right now, the ensembles are printing out a pretty healthy picture that good congruency together, that we've got a second system coming ashore on Wednesday night, especially Thursday morning, going into Thursday afternoon, Friday, for a good part of central and north Texas, with a winter storm possibly heading up into Arkansas and portions of Oklahoma. So here's the EPS printout right now for the ensembles, printing out some pretty healthy dosings of a good 4 to 5 to 6 inch snow swath across a good part of West and North Texas, through Arkansas, back into Mississippi, through Tennessee. And of course, that's the first snowstorm. You've got 2 snowstorms. You've got the first one going on right now, and then you have a second storm that's going to likely develop on Thursday into Friday for the south, portions of the southeast, through the Tennessee Valley, and that will combine with that snow they're going to get with that first system, but that will also have its own ice accumulated with it as well. So we'll be fine-tuning that second system, because obviously the study even started until 5 days from now, going into day 5 and day 6. So the placement of this could be a little bit off, but you get the idea that Texas is expecting a winter weather event coming up on Thursday and Friday. Portions of Oklahoma into Arkansas, areas into Mississippi, Tennessee, those areas are likely going to be seeing snow, and then a transition to some ice back in northern areas of South Carolina, North Carolina, mix it into Virginia again. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty significant travel delays for coming up in that second week of January. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch me next update, why I protect you before and after the storm.